Ah, okay. So ngayon ang discuss ko is about sa facilities and equipment. The volleyball court. Volleyball court. The net is 2.43 meters and 8 feet high for men and 2.24 meters, 7 feet and 4 inches high for women. So sa net naman is, pag sa lalaki, yung taas ng net is 8 feet, while sa babae naman is 7 feet and 4 inches high. So, ganyan yung height para sa babae. In games, go to the deciding set in a match. The team changes and when the one team has reached 8 points, then the player who was serving continues to serve unless of the course the team lost the previous serve. The ball. The ball is around and covered in a leather with rubber or similar inside. So yung bola dapat is yung around yung kanya bilog, which is covered by the leather, which is yung leather dapat parang yung hindi siya cellophane, which is leather. So with a rubber or similar inside. It is a light color, often white, and circumference between 65 and 67 meters, or 25 and half to 26 inches. So dapat yung bola is kulay, dapat yung kulay na is light, which is like white or others yung mga light na colors. And must weight between 260 and 280 grams and 10 and a half ounces. So, dapat yung bigat ng bola is nasa 260 and 280 grams yung kanyang bigat. It is inflated to pressure of 0.40 to 0.40 kg per square and centimeter. The the volleyball is made of leather or synthetic leather and inflated with compressed air according to FIB BO regulations. So, yun nga, yung dapat yung bola is made of, ginawa siya sa, yung mga kanyang, yung sa labas ng bola is dapat made of leather or synthetic leather. So, para mas mahirap mapunit or masira yung bola. It is circumference is 65 to 67 centimeter and its weight is 260 and 280 grams. Its inside the pressure shall be 0.30 to 0.32 kilogram centimeter, 4.26 to 4.61 psi or 294.3 to 318.82 m bar or HPA. The net is stretched across the court or 1 meter or 3 feet deep and 9.5 meters or 31 feet and 6 inches long. There is a flexible cable through the canvas fold at the top and at the bottom. As the net goes beyond the distance of the court, two white canvas tapes are placed vertically up and down the net above where the sidelines are. So, ito yung halimbawa ng net or yung court ng volleyball, which is ito yung center line. Ito yung center line. Then, ito naman yung antena, which is ito yung sumusupport para maipatayo yung net. Then, ito yung sideline niya, which is dito linalagyan ng white tape para sa kanyang mga line. Then number 2, next is extending up from the tapes are flexible poles 10 millimeters in diameter and 1.8 meters and 6 feet long. They extend from the top of the net by 80 centimeter or 31 inches. They are part of the net and count as the side limits. These antennas should be painted in red and white stripes so they are clearly visible. So dapat yung net or yung antenna is dapat naka-color red and whites or para stripes para mas makikita siya clearly visible, kumaga mas maganda sa tignan. The net height is 2.43 meters and 8 feet. So yung height dapat ng net is para sa lalaki is 2.43 meters and 8 feet high for men. 2.24 meters for 7 feet and 4 inches high for women. So sa babae naman yung height ng net nila is dapat is 2.24 meter or 7 feet and 4 inches high for women. There's a slight difference for each volleyball. For beach volleyball, and the net is supported by two posts of fan adjustable, each 2.55 meters or 8 feet and 3 inches high. The posts are between 0.6 to 1 meter and 1 foot or 6 inches to 3 feet 3 inches from the sidelines and must not be attached to the floor with cables or wires. Officials. To make sure that the rules are followed, there are a number of official people present at the volleyball game. So, yung officials player ng basketball is they are they are various numbers sa kanilang damit. The first referee sits in a high chair on the level with the top of the net. So, there is a clear view across the top of the net. So, yung first referee is dapat nasa taas, which doon siya nakatayo para mas makita na yung mga violation or faults ng mga player. Yun yung doon dapat na-assign yung first referee. So, the second referee stands opposite the first referee. So, yung second referee is opposite siya ng referee number 1. Close the scorer's table. So, yung dapat yung referee number 2 is nasa tabi ng table ng nagbibigay ng score or yung score tables. And substitute benches. So, katabi niya rin yung mga player which is nandun siya, yung nagsasubstitute sa mga players sa harapan. There may also be 4 line officials. Linesmen is sometimes used at each corner of the court and they say whether a ball is in or out and whether a player touched the ball. Sometimes there may only be 2 line officials, one at the corner facing each other diagonally. The scorer usually sits at a table on the opposite side of the court from the first referee. So mostly sa mga scorer or yung nagbibigay score is nakaupo sila sa opposite side of court from the first referee. The scorer responsible to keep a record scores, names, and numbers. So, yung responsibilidad ng mga scorer o yung nagbibigay ng score or puntos is to keep a record of the scores, names, and numbers of team members. The team coach and team outs substitutions and makes sure that the order of rotation is followed correctly. So, yung team coach and team outs dapat they make sure that order, yung mga rotation ng mga player is tama. So, false. False can lead to loss of point to the opposing team or side out. So, yung false, ito yung tinatawag natin losing points in the opposing team or side out. They are the following rules apply. So, ito yung mga dapat nating ina-apply na rules. If the ball touches the ground, if the ball does not go over the net between the net posts, if the ball crosses center line under the net, a foot over center line, some part of the foot must stay in the contact with the line or directly above it. Another fault, if the ball hits the net post or the imaginary outward Extension of the post of the post. So ito yung halimbawa ng chord which ito yung crossing space, ito yung crossing space, lower space, and exterior space which ito yung extension line niya. Ito at this side is extension space, extension space. So ito yung crossing space kung dito dapat yung player. Key crossing pass. During play, except on a service, the ball may touch the net inside the antenna, including the vertical sides bands, but not the antenna itself for the net outside it. If the ball is played more than 3 times in a row by one team, so another faults sa mga player is two opposing players hold the ball at the same time. If the ball is held or rests in someone's hands, if the ball is played twice in a row by one player or double contact. So, double contact, ito yung halimbawa ng double contact or double touch. Dito, yan. Yan. Pag sinabi ni double contact or double touch, a double contact's not penalized anytime the player is making the first of team or permitted contacts, provided the player makes only a single action at the playing volleyball. Next is if the ball lands out the court lines or touches a player or object outside the court without first touching an opponent or ball out, or ito yung nababall out or yung bola is nasa labas. A player touches the net or the net post. So, pag yung player mahawakan nila yung net while nag-work sila is magkakaroon sila ng faults sa referee. A player deliberately touches an opponent if the ball touches the net or net post. So reaching beyond the net is permitted only if there's no interference with the opponent's attempts to play the ball. So ito yun yung tinatawag na if the ball touch, pag yung player nahawakan na yung net is magkakaroon siya ng faults. If the ball does not go over the net from the serve, player or players is illegally screen or stand in the front of the serving player so that the receiving team cannot see the server or the ball. Position fault. Player in a wrong position. Rotational fault. Team rotation that not correctly. So, pag yung isang player or team is pag incorrect yung rotation nila is magkakaroon sila ng faults. Illegal substitution. So, yung maling pagtatratusut, hindi na, yung maling illegal substitution, ito yung wala sa oras na pag-substitute sa kasama na player. Delay substitution after second time out. Interfering with the ball while it is on the opponent's half of the court. Going onto the opponent's side of the court. Leaving the court without permission of referee. Playing an attacking hit while the ball is in opponent's half of the court. So, ito yan. Ito yung playing attack hit while the ball is in the opponent half of the court. So, ito yung natawag natin playing attacking hit. Yan, playing attacking the opponent outer side. Ito yan. Player 1 and 2 are not close to each other. So, dapat yung player 1 or yung kasama niya, yung player 1 na players, dapat is hindi sila masyadong close. Dapat is may distance sila. If the ball is touched by a player 1 and then by the player 2, only the first touch is counted as a block. So, pag yung player, if the ball touches by player 1 and the player 2, only the first touch is kung sino yung nakahawak ng bola is or na-block na kung sino yung unang player na na-block na yung isang bola, siya yung magkakaroon ng points. So kumbaga ito yung first touch na maka-count yung kanyang score. And player 2 will be making the first of the team 3 allowed hits. Player 3 and 4 form a collective block. If they both touch the ball, the team will still have 3 more ha. So yung player 3 and 4 is mostly is masyado silang close sa isa't isa. Backline player plays attacking hit from inside the attack line unless the ball is below the level of the top of the net, blocking the ball either side of the net post or blocking serve. So ito yung net which is ito yung kanilang foot, then front zone. Attack line. A legal player jump from behind attack. So ito dapat dito si player A, siya yung responsible sa pagja-jump, which mag-attack siya or siya yung mag-jump. And then B fault a player foot on or over attack line. So ito siya yung mag-over attack line. Then si C fault even though the ball was blocked before it crossed the line net. So ito si C fault. Okay, next is a top of the net. Height of the ball at the moment of the attack hit. Illegal or even if the player takes off from over the attack line. A fault ball completely above height of the net when contracted. Blocking by backline player. Players receive a misconduct penalty for arguing and supporting a behavior and so on. Okay, next is position of players at the moment of service. So, A possible front back faults. Example to illustrate the position between front and back line. So, ito yung kanilang position ng kanilang paa. So, dapat ito yung correct. Players 4 is in the front of player 5. So, dapat si player 4 is nasa harapan ni player 5. Then, net, player T is not a front of player 6. So, dapat si player T is hindi nasa harapan ni player 6. Si player 2 is not a front. So, same kay player 2, dapat hindi sa harapan ni player 1, si player 2. Next, possible sideways fault. B. Example to illustrate the position between players of the same line. Ito. Front court. So, yung sa harapan, which is to yung kanilang player 4 is to the left of the player 3 and player. So, dapat si player 4 is nasa left nila, player T and player 2. It's to the right of the player 3. No faults in the front line players. Player 5 is the left of the player 6, but player 1 is not the right of the players. So, dapat si player 5 is nandyan sa left ni player 6 din. Si player 1 is hindi it's not the right, hindi dapat sa right ni player 6. There is a 1-6 fault in the back line. Misconduct. Next is misconduct. If a player guilty or misconduct, the team will be penalized as above. If it is happen again, there will be a warning from the referee about behavior or So ito yung mga misconduct o sinasabing mga behavior ng player. Ito yung mga kanilang dapat na mga iwasan sa kanilang paglalaro. Yung mga ganito para maiwasan nila yung mawarningan ng kanilang referee. And players can be dismissed from the game for repeated infraction of the misconduct rule. So, yung player is madidismiss sila from the game sa kanilang laro. Yung rules is ginawa hindi nila sinunod, or instantly for showing any aggression towards another player of official. If a team cannot bring on substitute and keep the numbers on the court of 6, they lose match automatically. Notes: if two opposing players commit fouls at the same time, they cancel each other out, and the ball is replayed from the last serve. Other errors and fouls. So the lands out the court in the same court as the team that touched it last, under the net of the opposing team's court, or the ball touches the net. Antennas, the ball also may not pass over or outside the antennas even if the lands is of opponent's court. The ball is touched more than 3 times before being returned to other team's court. The player, the same player touches the ball twice in succession. A player leaps or carries the ball, or the ball remains in contact with the player's body for too long. A player touches the net with any part of his or her body or clothing while making a play on the ball, or with exception of the hair. A player touches the net with any part of his or body or clothing while making a play the ball with exceptional hair. A players of one team do not manage to touch the ball before the ball lands in their half of the court. A back row players spike the ball while it's completely above the top of the net, unless he or she jump from behind the attack line. The player is a back row. The libero, a defensive player who can only play in the back row, attempts a block or makes an attacking hit defined as any shot track while the ball is entirely above. So, libero is, yung responsibilidad ng libero is, yung lahat ng bola na galing sa kabila is, kinukuha niya kumaga, she or he receiving the ball in any position. So, si libero is pwede rin siyang magsuot ng ibang damit or yung mga light damit para ma-emphasize na libero talaga yung kanyang position. A player completes an attack hit from higher than the top of the net when the ball is coming from an overhand finger pass or set by a libero in the front zone. A player is not the correct position at the moment of serve or serves out of the turn. This type of fall is related to the position currently occupied by the players. When ball is served, related to the position currently occupied by the players. Connects is when hitting a player makes contact with the ball in the space above the opponent's touches the opponent court with any part of his or her body except the feet or hands. When serving, a player steps on the count or the end of line before making a contact with the ball. Player makes more than 8 seconds to serve. At the moment of serve, one or more players jump, raise their hands, or stand together at the net in the attempt to block the side of the ball from the opponent or screening. A player blocks the serve or attacks the serve when the ball is in the front zone and above the top of the net. A collective screen. Groups of 2 or more players form a collective screen if they stand in such a way as to prevent players in the receiving team from seeing the service. Gameplay. Each team consists of 6 players. To get play started, a team is chosen to serve by a coin toss. So, bawat player is meron silang 6 na players sa court. Then, but before sila maglalaro is magkakaroon sila ng coin toss kung sino yung kanino yung court o kanino ba makakakuha ng bola. A player from the serving team or the server throws the ball into the air and attempts to hit the ball so it passes over the net or on a course such that it will land to hit the ball team scored or the serve. The opposing team must use a combination of no more than 3 contact with the volleyball to return the ball to the opponent's side of the net. This contact usually pulls of the jump, bump or pass so that the ball's trajectory is aimed towards the player designed as the setter. Second of the set, usually an overhand pass using wrist to push fingertips at the ball by the players decide an attacker can hit it. And third, by the attacker who spike or jumping, raising one arm above the lead and hitting the ball so it will move quickly down to the ground on the opposing court to return the ball over the net.
The team with possession of the ball that is trying to attack the ball is described is said to be on offense. The team on defense attempts to prevent the attacker from directing the ball into their court. Playing at the net, jump and reach above the top and if possible across the plane of the net in order to block the attack ball. If the ball is around about or through the block, the defensive players arranged in the rest of the court attempt to control the ball with a jig, usually a arm pass of a hard driver ball. After a success dip, the team transitions to offense. The game continues in this manner, rallying back and forth until the ball touches the court within the boundaries or until an error is made.
The ball in or out. The ball lands in when any part of the touches the floor of the playing court including the boundary lines. So, ito yung tinatawag nating mga boundary line. Pag yung bola tumama sa line, it's ball in. Then ito naman yung playing court. So, pag dito naman is ito yung tinatawag nating free zone or then sideline or end line. So, if the ball passes outside antennas on the first contact for the team, example, the result of the bad pass or dig, a player is allowed to go after the ball as long as he or she does not touch the opponent's court and the ball travels back to his or her team's court also outside antennas. Except if a player blocks or touches the ball sent over the net by the opposing team while reaching above the top of the net. A ball that stays in the blocker side of the net. In such an instance, the blocker may play the ball another time without violating the rule against playing the ball twice in succession. If the ball is touched during a block, that contact is not considered one of the team's or three contacts. At the first hit of the team, the ball may contact various parts of the body consecutively, provided the contacts occur during the one action. Also, when a player touches the ball on the block, he or she may make another play on the ball. Penetration. Under the net with hands or feet is allowed only if portion of the penetrating hands or feet may remains in contact with or directly above the player's court or center line. Screening is only a fault if the players stand directly next to each other in their heads. This adjustment called by the referee. Teams are generally given a warning before being sanctioned for screening.
Scoring. When the ball contacts the floor within the court boundaries or an error is made, the team that did not make the error is awarded a point whether they deserve the ball or not. The team that won the points served for the next point if the team that won the point served in the previous point, the same player serves again. If the team that won the point did not serve the previous point, the players of the team rotate their position on the court in a clockwise manner. The game continues with the first team to score 25 and be 2 points ahead, award the set. Matches are best of 5 set, and the fifth set, if necessary, is usually played to 15 points. Scoring differs between quiz tournament and levels. High school sometimes plays best of 3 to 30, in the NCAA games are played best of 5 to 30. Before 1999, points could be scored only when a team had the served side outscoring, and all sets went up to only 15 points. The FIVB changed the rule in 1999, with the changes being compulsory in 2000. To use the current scoring system, formerly known as rally point system, primarily to make the length of the match more predictable and to make the game more spectator and television friendly. The Libero. In 1998, the Libero players was introduced internationally. The term meaning free in Italian is pronounced libero rather than libero. The NCAA introduced the libero in 2002. The libero is a player specialized in defensive skills. The libero must wear a contrasting jersey color from his or her teammates and cannot block or attack the ball when it is entirely above net height. When the ball is not in play, the libero can replace any back row player without prior notice to the officials. This replacement does not count against the substitution limit each team is allowed per set, although the libero may be replaced only by the player whom they replace. The libero may function as a sitter only under certain restrictions. If he makes an overhand set, he must be standing behind and stepping on the 3-meter line. Otherwise, the ball cannot be attacked above the net in front of 3-meter line. An underpass is allowed from any part of the court. The libero is generally the most skilled defensive player on the team. There is also a libero tackling seat where the referees on officiating team must keep track of 2 the libero subs and out 4. There may only be 1 libero per set game, although there may be a different libero in the beginning of any new set game. A libero is not allowed to serve according to international rules, with the exception of the NCAA Women's Volleyball Games, where a 2004 rules change allow the libero to serve, but only is a specific rotation, that is, the libero can only serve for one person. Not for all of the people for whom she goes in. That rule change was also applied to high school play soon after. Bye.
Okay, next is the recent rules or changes. Once rule changes enacted in 2000 include allowing serves in which the ball touches the net as long as it goes over the net into the opponent's court. Also, the service area that was expanded to allow players to serve from anywhere behind the end made a line still with the theoretical extension. The uh, extension of the sideline, other changes were made to lighten up calls on faults or carries and double touches, such as allowing multiple contacts by a single player or double hits on a team. First contact provide that they are a part of single play on the ball. Go skills. The competitive teams master six basic skills: serve, pass, set, attack, block, and dig. Each of these skills comprises a number of specific techniques that have been introduced over the years and are now considered standard practice in high-level volleyball. Serve. A, a player stands behind end line and serves the ball in attempt to drive it into the opponent's court. His or her main objective is to make it land inside the court. It is also um, it is also desirable to set the ball direction, speed, and acceleration so that it becomes difficult for the receiver to handle it properly and serve as called an ace or when the ball lands directly onto the court or travels outside the court after being touched by opponent.